A lot of people love to create their meals at home, but what new data's found is that breakfast, lunch, or dinner, a lot of Aussies are resorting to eating out and losing a lot of those skills in home cooking and meal prep and that sort of thing. I'm joined over the phone this morning by Laura Simpson, who is the content director for taste.com.au. How are you going this morning, Laura?
I'm going great. How are you?
Yeah, really well, thank you, Laura. Thanks so much for joining me today. So there was a report that was released by Taste the World. What were these findings?
Yes, what we found was that there's a really strong appetite for global flavours, and Italian remains the nation's favourite cuisine to eat, closely followed by Chinese. But what we also saw was that there are some barriers to people actually cooking this in reality at home in their own kitchens. And over a third of Australians said they avoid cooking certain cuisines because of lack of knowledge and skills.
Right. And what demographics, what group of Australians are, feeling that lack of confidence when it comes to preparing their own food at home?
Well, what we saw was that Gen Z and millennials tend to be the most adventurous in trying new cuisines, but people who maybe are in the baby boomer generation, Gen X, people with kids at home tended to eat fewer cuisines each week. And we think maybe that's because if you're kind of in a cooking routine, you may not want to deviate from what you know works, especially if you've got kids in the house.
And you mentioned, Laura, that some of the most popular dishes for people of all ages to prepare at home, it was an easy win for Italian food, followed closely by Chinese food. How can Aussies go about recreating their favourite international cuisines in their own kitchens, overcoming that maybe lack of confidence when it comes to preparing something new and different?
Yeah, I think what I would recommend is starting with something that's familiar, or starting with a cuisine that you know you love. And I think by introducing these new recipes and presenting them in a really easy way, this is a really good gateway for people to just dip their toe into perhaps a different cuisine. Even if you just cook one new recipe this week, what will that be? And just to try it. Life is all about experimentation, especially when it comes to the kitchen. So I think just give it a try.
Yeah, no, look, excellent points there, Laura. And so where can listeners go if they're, maybe they've got that recipe in mind that they've been wanting to try for a while? Where can they go to find those recipes where they can say, okay, I'm really going to give this a go?
On taste.com.au, we have enlisted the help of a whole heap of new contributors, a lot of different cuisines covered. And all of these recipes, what we've done is we've designed them so that you can get the ingredients from the supermarket. And if you can't find them, there are lots of substitutes that you could use to get the same flavours.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for the information and for your time this morning.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.
That is Laura Simpson, Content Director at taste.com.au. You're listening to The Big Brekkie with Vic, and this is 1332 4BU.